Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 14, Chapter 30. The Kerala Onam. It is the bounden duty of bhaktas, devotees, to preserve and protect the rich culture and heritage of this country, which has been the birthplace of many great spiritual leaders and whose past is resplendent with the glory of prowess in music, art, and science. Alas, this glorious land of Bharat, Mother India, is now bedeviled with problems, which are mostly the result of ego, jealousy, hatred, and selfishness. Only by removing such traits can the glorious past of this great land again be brought back to life. The story of the festival Onam is that of Bali Chakravarti, who was an embodiment of Tyaga, sacrifice, but who suffered from traces of ahamkara, egoism. However, due to the predominance of other virtues, Bali was even able to overcome the ill effects of ahamkara and bury it deep in hell through the grace of Lord Vishnu, who appeared before him in the form of a Vatu, Brahmin ascetic, named Vamana. Bali proved himself far superior to Indra. Bali was dedicated to rule his subjects by the observance of and strict adherence to the principles of Dharma. He was the son of Virochana and the grandson of Prahlada, so it is not surprising that Bali possessed rich traditional qualities of bhakti. Once, after obtaining the permission of his guru Shukracharya, Bali wanted to perform a great yaga, sacrifice, called Vishvajit. Vishvam means the totality of Panchabhutas, 5 elements, Pancha Indriyas, 5 senses, and Panchakoshas, 5 regions or sheaths of the human body. It is the victory over such a Vishvam which the word Vishvajit symbolizes. Indra is so called because he is the ruler of the Indriyas, senses, and the ruler of the Indriyas in man is the Manas, mind. The nature of the interplay of Indriyas is such that it is possible to gain as well as to lose through it. Indra wanted to rule heaven, but Bali wanted nothing of the sort. Indra used to propitiate and beg Vishnu in order to achieve what he desired, but Vishnu himself descended in the form of Vamana to beg from Bali. Thus, Bali proved himself to be far superior to Indra. Vamana belonged to the famous Siddhashram, which was founded by Kashyapa, representing Purusha or man, and Aditi, representing the feminine Prakriti or nature. It is through the union of this Purusha and Prakriti that the progeny known as Siddhi, in the form of Vatu, the embodiment of Vishnu Tattva, was born. The Siddhashram was located on the banks of a sacred river called Pavitra, which represents life. Siddhi will always be found on the banks of flowing life whenever the Bhavashuddhi, purity of mind, and Chitta Shuddhi, purity of heart, predominate in man. It is due to the fact that all sankalpas, resolutions, could be realized at this sacred ashram that it has come to be known as Siddhashram. Vishvamitra, after the successful completion of his yaga, with the help of Rama and Lakshmana, brought them to reside at this ashram for some time. It was at this ashram too that Bali attained moksha, liberation. The spreading of Vishnu Tattvam, nature of Vishnu, is known as Trivikrama Tattvam, nature of Vishnu expanding to the three worlds. The aspect of Trivikrama Tattvam is represented by the Gayatri mantra, Bhur Bhuva Suvaha. The Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka and Suvarloka constitute the Trivikrama Tattvam. It is wrong to conceive of these three lokas, worlds, as existing one on top of the other, and thus capable of being reached by climbing a ladder, as it were. In fact, the three lokas are intertwined with each other, and one exists within the other. Real meaning of the three worlds. The real meaning of this kind of geometrical configuration of the three lokas is that the Pancha Indriya, Panchabhutas and Panchakoshas, five senses, elements and sheets, aspect of man's deha, body, is Bhuloka. The aspect of Prana Shakti or Manastattvam is Bhuvarloka. And the microscopic state of Anandam, bliss, represents Suvarloka. And so it can be said that the three worlds, Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka and Suvarloka, are nothing but the Deha Tattva, Manastattva and Ananda Tattva, essential nature of body, mind and bliss, respectively. And the totality of these three represents the Trivikrama Tattva. Again, these three aspects of Trivikrama Tattva can be understood in terms of the three states of an individual. That is, the one you think you are, the one others think you are, and the one you really are. Hence, only by proper sadhana can one transcend from Bhuloka through Bhuvarloka to Suvarloka. The attainment of Suvarloka is known as moksha, liberation, and it represents the stage of complete mergence with the Lord. Since it is a state where the aspect of moha, attachment, is made to disintegrate, it is known as moksha, moha and shayam, moksham. Remember Bali by practicing his ideals. Bali was an embodiment of tyaga, renunciation, and he personified the aspect of tatru tattvam, principle of charity, and dharma tattvam, righteousness. Since Onam is a festival day to be celebrated in memory of the reappearance of Bali in his Sukshama Rupa, microscopic subtle form, it is imperative for everyone to remember and practice the ideals for which he stood for when he was alive. It should be remembered that Bali, as portrayed above, should be visiting us every day and not just once a year. But we forget this because in our daily life we leave ample room for the cultivation of undesirable traits such as greediness, selfishness and egoism, which in present-day man are reaching gigantic proportions. It is precisely due to this kind of situation that the world periodically gets plunged into wars. Bali's life message is that the above-mentioned traits in man should be eliminated at all costs, thus rendering the heart pure for the Lord to reside in. Another important aspect of Bali's life is his demonstration of the fact that the quality of tyaga, selfless sacrifice, should be an integral part of one's karma, actions. All beings perform actions, but only man, if he so desires, can act, making sacrifice an integral component of his actions. Again, the existence of this trait in man is possible because of his ability to think and reflect. Unfortunately, man uses these God-given faculties to enunciate theories and to preach, but never to practice what is preached. Sacrifice everything and attain liberation. Thousands of Onams have come and gone, and people have been preaching for years as to what Onam signifies. Yet the heart of man remains impure. Bali practiced what he preached, whereas his revered guru, Shukracharya, did not, as was evident when he intervened to stop Bali from giving away everything that he possessed to Vamana. Preaching and practicing are like the two eyes. Since Shukracharya only preached and did not practice, his one eye was symbolically made ineffective. A man with a dual mind is half blind. In our lives, we must be like Bali and not like Shukracharya. We should realize that in order to get one thing, something else must be sacrificed. Bali demonstrated through his Tyaga Svabhava, sacrificing nature, that if one sacrifices everything, one will attain moksha, liberation. The real sacrifice involves two things. First, to realize the cause of our bondage in this life, and second, to sever this bondage. Man mistakenly thinks that wealth, a family, etc. are his bondages. He believes that by severing connections with them, he will be able to sacrifice everything and become eligible to attain moksha. But these are not the real bondage of man. His real bondage is his ignorance in identifying himself with his body. He who cuts off this bondage, as Bali did, will attain moksha. For cutting off this bondage, a purification of the heart is very necessary. Purification of the body with soap and water and by applying perfume does not result in the purification of the mind. In this Kali Yuga, Namasmarana, constant remembrance of God, is the easiest way to purify one's mind. Surrendering to God with a pure mind is the surest way to attain moksha. Bali offered 2 out of 3 aspects, namely Adi Bhautikam, his body, and Adi Daivikam, his life, for 2 feet of space demanded by Vamana. As for the 3rd foot of space required by Vamana, Bali offered his Adhyatmika soul aspect to the Lord, thus surrendering himself completely. That is why the Lord placed his 3rd step on the heart of Bali and pushed him into hell, thus completely pushing all traces of Bali's ego into the bottommost layer of the universe. Bali was thus delivered from the bondage of birth and death. The essence of the message of Onam. The word Bali has another meaning, which is charge for service rendered or tax. We pay money to the department which supplies water knowing fully well that it is not responsible for the creation of the water. But what charge are we paying to the creator of the water? Nothing. Yet we wish to get his grace. How is it possible to get his grace without giving pali or shulkam, tax? The tax which the Lord expects is devotion and purity of heart. This is the essence of the message of Onam. Onam is not to be treated as a festival which comes once a year, but as an event, the message of which should become a way of life for everyone. The three events which Onam symbolizes should always be kept clear in one's mind. That is, 1. The incarnation of Lord Vishnu as the Vatu. 2. The attainment of moksha by Pali. And 3. The Antatatnam mergence of Pali with the Lord. Vrindavan, September 4th, 1979. Every man is engaged in searching for something lost. Life is the chance afforded to him to recover the peace and the joy that he had lost when last he was here. If he recovers them now, he need not come again. But he loses them through ignorance of their value and of the means of retaining them. If only he would stay in the consciousness of Shivoham. I am Shiva, I am immortal, I am the source and spring of bliss, then he would be supremely content. But instead of this correct evaluation of himself, this recognition of his innate reality, man goes about weeping at his helplessness, his inadequacy, his poverty, his evanescence. This is the tragic fate from which man has to be rescued. Sri Sathya Sai Baba.